My name is Anne-Mette Petri. I'm the Key Account Manager at the 4C Strategies. Yeah, it was actually the Exonaut software suite that sparked my interest. I was quite impressed by the uniqueness of the suite. In my industry, we have a very long tradition of working with risk management, crisis management, safety assessments, audit and compliance, and of course quite extensive training programs. We collect a lot of data, a vast amount of data, but often it stays within the silo of each stakeholder, and it's quite often in a Excel sheet format. But seeing Exonaut, I actually saw a possibility of breaking down the silos and of actually obtaining more information, extracting information, creating some kind of transparency in order to understand the everyday operation better. So the Exonaut suite was actually able to kind of deliver what we have been looking for quite some time in my industry. I think the best part and what I enjoy the most is actually working with our clients, helping them develop and evolve. I hope that my experience can somehow help them move forward and build their capability and adaptive capacity. Every organization is different and their maturity is different. But I hope that through my experience we can increase their pace and make them develop quicker towards readiness. I think whether we talk about a culture of readiness or culture of resilience, I think we need to understand the basic capabilities that has to be in place if you want to become a resilient organization. Because I think resilience is a word that is commonly used, but we need to understand what's behind the scene of resilience. And commonly we say that if you want to become a resilient organization, you have to be able to monitor, you have to be able to respond, you have to be able to learn, and you have to be able to anticipate. And most organizations are able to monitor, but there it's important and interesting to see what is it actually we're monitoring. That's where you have to look at the criticality of the data and what kind of data are you using. The respond phase is something that most organizations has done for many years, so most organizations are really good at responding, and many are actually doing exercise and then training to ensure that they're able to respond. If we go to the learning part, I think that most organizations can learn, but here it's critical how you learn. It's critical if your learning is event-driven or if it's continuous. Continuous learning can be quite hard, but it'll give you much more interesting data than if you only learn when something happens. The last part, and I think the most critical part, is actually the ability to anticipate. That can be difficult because how do you anticipate? What is your requisite of imagination? What can happen? But here it's about how many resources do you actually invest in this? What can you use? What kind of data do you have? If you're doing monitoring that is continuous, then you might have data available where you can say you could find weak signals that you might be interested in. So I would say that understanding these four steps is quite important in order to build a culture of readiness or resilience. One of the potential barriers for implementing readiness and resilience could be a lack of leadership, of commitment. Safety leadership is not something that is created overnight or by implementing a procedure. It's about having a vision, and it's about understanding the difference between leadership and management. So commitment to actually building readiness comes from leadership, from safety leadership. I would say the hardest thing to do when you're in a crisis situation is to ensure that you are doing the right situational assessment. Situational assessment is very much about What kind of cues are you taking in? What's your normal reaction? What's your response? And it's very easy that you'll fall for the confirmation bias and go into a wrong mental model that will just support what you think is happening. So trying to extract the data and make sure that you know the difference between what is facts and what is assumptions, what are we normally doing or what are we supposed to do or what do we think will happen. So the situational assessment is really the hardest part, but also one of the most important parts. And there it's important that you have trained that kind of methodology and know how to respond and know how to critically assess your own performance. I would say one is that you should involve your staff and explore your current level of preparedness or readiness. So step two, you need to be curious about the trade-offs of efficiency and thoroughness, and understand the current performance variability in organization and how you actually create safety every day. Step three would be to map your findings and design a training and exercise program. Discuss the discretionary space and the requisite competence needed in order to perform the tasks during unexpected situations or crisis. Step four, and this is the last step, is actually to see it as a continuous loop. And that's something that you need to revisit in frequent intervals and do it again in order to constantly understand what kind of performance do we have in the organization right now? What level are we in? What maturity level are we in? How do we want to map it? What is it we want to be able to do today, in 2 years, in 5 years, or in 10 years? So we need to, as an organization, have a vision of what kind of capability you would like to build.